welcome to Team Talk. I'm your co-host, Mark Iorio, along with the guy that I can't elbow, Milton Corsey. What's going on?
Better not. Exactly.
I mean, I got it.
Yeah, whatever,
dude.
Whatever.
Hey,
listen, you know what? We got a show to do.
Yeah, we do.
There's a guest here.
Yep.
Let's talk to the guest.
Right,
I don't need
cool.
to talk to you in your foolishness.
All right, gotcha. All right, so we have Jedidiah Weller on. He's the CEO and founder of OpenForge. Mm-hmm. Jedi, welcome.
Thanks. Yeah,
good to have you, man.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Yeah. So on Team Talk, we talk about, what we do is we talk about how to build inclusive businesses. In businesses that are, different. You've got different people around the table. In your business, OpenForge especially, you're trying to solve problems, right? So you want diverse thinking, diverse thoughts to come around the table, and you want to include everyone in the process.
Yeah.
So that's what Team Talk's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important too. We've seen financial gains, we've seen morale gains. I mean, we've seen everything just by opening up our culture, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was something that we started, years ago, like about 6 years ago when we first started. I started the business with my co-founder, and we agreed as a team, we want this company to be equally representative. We want it to be fully exposed, and we want it to just be an awesome environment that everyone would love to live and work in.
Wow. Yep. That's great.
Yeah. So I couldn't be happier to be here. I mean, I'm really excited to be here actually because I love talking about this kind of stuff. So, and you guys are pretty awesome. So
thanks.
Say.
Oh, well, he might be. I guess.
Thank you for finally admitting it. Thank you for finally owning it.
So you know what he told me? He said I can't call you Jedi until I really get to know you.
Exactly.
Just make sure he calls him Jedidiah.
Exactly. You haven't earned the right now. But anyway.
No, you can call me Jedi. Especially, I mean, we're at a table that's almost shaped like a heart here, so I feel like there's a lot of love going around. We gotta.
Wow.
You can call me Jedi.
Wow. Okay. I think we better get into what we're going to be talking about, because this is going off the rails really quickly. But anyway. Jedidiah, listen, man, once again, thank you so much for coming to the show. As Mark told you, Team Talk is about the idea of how do you build an inclusive team, what are all the things that we need to do intentionally to make that happen. So we're going to start off by just simply asking you a question. Like, you said you and your co-founder, you did this intentionally when you first started the business. So what are some of the things that you did to make sure that OpenForge was a more inclusive environment?
Well, that's a long list. I think the first thing we did, right, is, have you ever heard of a company called Buffer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Buffer did this amazing thing years ago, and we didn't invent this, I can't take credit for this, where they opened up their entire salary and equity structure publicly, right? They made a Google spreadsheet, and they said, hey, this is how we operate, these are the formulas that we use, right? And we looked at this, and we were inspired by it, and we said, you know what, this is an amazing thing. So when we started hiring people, right, we started from just 2 people to 3 to 10 to 20, what we first did was we set a formula up where we said, okay, anyone coming through the door, right, doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter what education level, doesn't matter what gender, right, anyone who coming through the door, they're going to abide by this formula. So this is what determines salaries. This is what determines equity. This is what determines, your share in the company, right? So that way, right from the get-go, right, the entire company is fair, right? Everyone knows, okay, this is why someone is making the amount they're making. This is why someone is getting the amount of profit that they're getting, right? That was really, really important to us, and that's helped us, grow and not only grow, but also, I think, get confidence, from the team, get trust from the team, right? Because the team knows I'm not just willy-nilly saying, okay, this person gets this person gets that, right? There's actually rhyme and reason behind it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what you're talking about, Jedi, is really innovative. It's different because it's open. It opens the transparency of the organization. It develops a level of respect for one another, because now all of a sudden you see that everyone is here on an equal playing field, right? Yeah. How did you and your partner, your co-founder, decide that this was what you wanted to do?
That's a good question. I think it was just part of us, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was first getting into the startup industry, right? I was ripped off. I was ripped off by a company out on the West Coast where I started working for them, and all of a sudden paychecks started bouncing, and there was always an excuse. There was always a reason, right? Where he would say, oh yeah, we got some investment, but it got held up at the bank, or X, Y, Z. Like you guys know the stories.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And I hated that, right? It actually almost financially ruined me, right? Because I had just tried buying a second house, right? And and to give you a little preface, I'm from the country. I'm from a farm, right? My parents don't come from anything, right? We've worked our whole way up. I saved up $6,000 when I was in college by working 3 jobs. It was the most money I ever had in my life, right? And I put $500 in the stock market. Lost it in a day, and I was like, "Oh crap!" Right? So then
One day, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Oh my God!
It went down to like, I don't know, 20 cents or something. But I was like, okay, I got to do something else.
Doing that again.
Right.
You know, so I invested in real estate. You know, my buddy did it, so I said, okay, well, why don't I try this? So I bought a house. It worked, right? And I lived there and rented out the extra rooms, right?
Yep.
And as I was going along, I was working for this job, and I was like, okay, it's time to move on. It's time to buy the second place, right? And then I asked the founder, right? And I asked him. I said, hey, are we going to have a paycheck, this week? Like, is this paycheck going to bounce or not? Like, I don't care. I'll work for free. I just need to know not to make this financial decision, right? If the money isn't going to be there.
Right.
And he looks me in the eyes and he says, no, it's going to be there. And I was like, okay, so I trusted him, and I was like, okay, I made the purchase, and then the next day, paychecks bounce.
Wow.
Right? And all of a sudden, I've got $2,000 in my bank account, I got $4,000 a month in expenses, right? And I'm about to go bankrupt, right? And that's when I started my first company, right? And my co-founder at the time, this is my old company, she said, I want to go into business with you, but I don't know how. I don't know how we're going to make money. And I said, well, we need to figure that out right away. But it gave us a need, right? And then we did it. And because of that, my rule was I want all of my companies to be transparent, completely transparent.
Interesting.
So my entire team, and this was my old company, right? My new company uses the exact same rules, right? Exact same setup, and that's OpenForge.
Right.
And my entire team knows how much money I make, knows how much money everyone else makes. They know how much our bonuses are going to be. They know how much our contracts with our clients are going to be. My entire team is fully educated in everything about the business. Right?
That is cool.
And they make better decisions because of it.
Exactly
That's
right.
really cool. It's amazing how many companies or how many businesses start in moments of crisis. And so many of our great companies really started there. So you're in good company, bro.
Yeah.
So, it's tough, but you're really good company.
Because you need it.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing I thought that you said that's really so spot on is the importance of trust. Building in an organization, right? If you're going to build a team, we got to be able to trust each other. And that you guys figured out this matrix or an approach that made everything transparent. There was clarity. People knew what they were getting into. So that's a fantastic thing. So let's kind of get back to the whole idea of inclusivity. And oftentimes when we think about that, right, people talk about inclusivity or diversity and all that kind of good stuff. They think about it in terms of race and gender, but there are a lot of different elements to that whole idea. So, when you guys at OpenForge, when you think about diversity and inclusion, like, how do you define that? What are all the metrics that you guys look at?
Yeah. Well, so we have an exercise for this kind of, right? So I'm going to ask you a question, one word answer, right? So define inclusion with one word. Any word, doesn't matter what it is.
That's not how the show works. I get to ask the questions.
Anyway, this isn't a trick. This isn't a trick, I swear.
Fair enough. It was just too easy. I had to. But anyway, define inclusion.
Yeah.
All.
Okay.
Everyone.
Okay. Opportunity, right?
Okay.
And this right here is what inclusion is to our company, right? Because if we just go by what I mean by inclusion, well, then we're completely ignoring what inclusion actually means, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but we all have a different definition. We all come from different backgrounds, and that's what inclusion is.
Yeah.
But not only is it important for us to be inclusive, right? For us to bring people in with different backgrounds, it's also important for people to actually be able to voice their opinions, to voice their backgrounds, right? You guys see so many organizations where they just bring in people, right? It's just a metric. And those people don't have any actual say, right? It's still just one person, right, making all the decisions, right? So you have to empower your team. You have to actually give them responsibilities, right? And to be able to say, look, I'm Jedi, I'm wrong. Well, that was hard, But but I can be wrong, right? And everyone can be wrong, right? So that's why we get these different
So
voices.
between the last company and this company, Jedi, what has the triggering mechanism was that you wanted everyone to know what was going on, being openly transparent, having that level of respect for each other. Why is it important that you've done that? Why is it important that you built an organization around that?
Yeah, so it's because, a couple different reasons, right? The first and foremost is just transparency is one of our core, values,
Yep.
right, for our company, right?
Sure.
So we define our mission, vision, and values, and
Okay.
that's one of the core ones, right? But it also gives my team a better power and better authority to actually make decisions, right? Because if like, let's say Paulina, she's our lead developer. She just won the Philadelphia Timmy Awards. She's
Oh, cool.
amazing. Yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. She's been with me from the very beginning at my old company, came with me all the way, to OpenForge.
Right.
And, if she didn't know what's going on in the company, right? If she didn't know about the financials, if she didn't know about, the team and, the team dynamics, if she didn't know about our clients, then how could I actually expect her to make good decisions?
Yeah.
Because good decisions come from knowledge, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So by giving her all the knowledge, by saying, hey, look, all of this is open, right? Take whatever information you need and use it to make your decisions.
Yeah.
Now she can actually make decisions
Absolutely.
at my level.
Yeah.
Right? Because she knows as much as me.
Yeah.
Right? Same with everyone else. Same with my project manager, May. Same with, our lead designer, Rachel, right? They all know everything about the company, so they can all make really, really important decisions, right? And
Yeah.
I'm confident that they have all their information at their disposal to make
Yeah.
those decisions.
So as a follow-on to that, I mean, it's important because of all that. You can make better decisions.
Yeah.
What has that done for the health and the financial well-being and the growth of the organization?
It's helped, especially in hard times, right? Because when we switched from our old company, right, to OpenForge, it was basically, me and my co-founder, we split. So then we had to divide assets.
Right.
Sure.
And you guys know what that's like. It was hard. All of a sudden, I lost half the money in the bank, and I wanted to keep the entire team. And basically, the entire team wanted to come over and work with me at the new company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't afford all of them.
Right.
I just couldn't. I have
Right.
half the resources, right? So what we had to do is we had to do salary cuts, right? We had to do all of that. And when we first started, this is like day one of OpenForge.
Right.
And I think 70% of the team came with me, even though we had to reduce salaries
Wow.
and everything, right?
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
So, yeah, and I don't know why, right? But I can only hope to attribute it to that level of trust, right?
Right.
They knew that they could trust in me, right? And I knew that I could trust in them. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it speaks, to the culture that you built at OpenForge, and and that's so vitally important. And it's amazing, like I've seen how you guys have grown over the last few years,
Yeah,
and you
it's
keep
crazy.
getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Let me ask you this question. It's the last question I want to ask you, I guess, before we go to break. Is it's kind of like, what are the keys to building a culture that is going to sustain what you have going now?
Yeah, that's I would say one of the big things is making sure you share the vision, right, for each of the different, for the company as a whole, right? But then have a conversation about the vision for the departments, right?
Okay.
Like our development team, for instance, because OpenForge builds mobile applications,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And that's what we do. Our development team is a big part, right? And they have their own culture that they've developed over the years, right? And I was originally a developer, like I'm a software developer by trade, right? So I was originally part of the dev team. I'm not anymore. And I had to say, it would have not grown or changed the same way if I was still in charge of it.
Interesting.
And I actually think it grew in a much better fashion because I'm no longer in charge of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
They're doing like weekly town halls, right? Where they have like developer, talking shop. They do, check-ins that are separate from their check-ins with me. They do. They're starting to do like a lot of community events, and things that I wouldn't be able to do all myself, right? And I also wouldn't have thought of all these things, all these different programs.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I think allowing the people that you put into leadership positions, I think allowing them to take some of your vision, but then create their own as well, right?
Love it.
I think that's a big part because if it's just my vision, well then. It's just my vision,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Right.
the only one who's going to work for it, right? But if it's all of our visions, then I think we can accomplish more.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
Fantastic.
We are going to have to come back for a quick break. We're going to take a quick commercial break, check in with our sponsors, and then come back and talk to Jedi about OpenForge and the culture that he's built there and how that business is growing right after a message from our sponsors.
Cool.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Why buy local? When you shop with local businesses, you're spending your money on more than just the item you're buying. You're adding a building block to your neighborhood. It starts with a single purchase, maybe a cup of coffee, groceries from a local co-op, or even a shiny new bicycle from one of the nearly 28 million small businesses nationwide. Your money doesn't stay in the till for long, though. Local business owners use the money to create a lot of economic activity in your neighborhood, like buying from suppliers, many of whom are also local businesses, paying taxes to the city, which builds and maintains the infrastructure we all rely on, employing local workers, contributing to 65% of the net new jobs each year. Add this all together and you've got a recipe for a happier, healthier, more connected neighborhood. Now that's an investment worth making.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Team Talk. I'm your co-host, Mark Iorio, along with Milton Corsey, and we've got Jedidiah Weller, founder and CEO of OpenForge. Just come back from the break. I know you wanted to ask Jedi about his business.
Absolutely, yeah. Jedi, listen, we really appreciate all that you've contributed to our conversation around the whole diversity and inclusion topic, and kind of how you guys at OpenForge have really made it a central and fundamental part of your organization's culture, which I think is wonderful. But at this point, I'd like you to share with our audience a little bit about what you guys do, how you help your clients, and kind of what the vision is for OpenForge as a company.
Yeah, sure. So OpenForge, very simply, we build mobile apps. So any mobile app that you could possibly think of, we build it, right? And that's been an amazing experience for us, because think about how much of what we do on a day-to-day basis is mobile, right? The average user, right? Average, and this is before COVID times,
right?
It's going to spend 4 hours a day on their phone, right? Now people are spending 10 to 12 hours a day. It's insane, right? We are truly connected to our mobile devices. So, when we moved and we migrated our company and OpenForge, we really said, oh, look, we're great at mobile applications. Let's build this. Let's focus on this, right? And let's use this as our medium, as our platform to express ourselves and to really make change in the world.
Yeah,
right.
And the reason we're called OpenForge, and this is something that not a lot of people know, is that open stands for open source, right? Which is, if you guys don't know what open source is, it's essentially what do you call it, like a methodology or an understanding that software you create is going to be shared openly with the world, right? And Forge is because we're creators. We build awesome things, right? And so we put those together and we get OpenForge.
Yeah,
Very
that's cool. Very cool. Yeah. The passion that you have for not only what you do, Jedi, for what OpenForge does for its clients, but also the passion that you have for building such an inclusive organization. It comes out. You can feel it. It's prevalent in the conversation. Where does that come from? Where do you feel like, okay, when your feet hit the ground in the morning or floor in the morning, I love what I do because. What's the reason?
Yeah, I mean, it's because I love creating, right? And in order to be a real creator, you have to experience new things. You have to experience more than just what your background is or than what you are, right? So that's why we have a team, right? Because I could not create what our team creates together, right? It's truly like a partnership for all of us. Yeah. And because of that creation, aspect, that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what makes me so excited. And mobile apps are the medium.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It really is, man. It's pretty remarkable, and to watch your growth over the years has been pretty cool too, right?
Yeah, we've gone from, I think when we moved over, when we took over the company and created OpenForge, we had maybe 8 to 10 full-time employees. Now we're at about 24 full-timers. We've got, probably another 20 contractors that work for us.
Wow.
So that's just in a 2 or 3 year period. So
good feeling.
Yeah, it's been pretty exponential growth.
Good feeling, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, bro. That really is. That really is. Yeah. Let me ask you another question about along the same lines. Like Mark said, we can see your passion. The energy is coming out of you. It's really, really cool stuff. But is there, a person, or is there an example or something that inspired you, that made you say that this is kind of
Absolutely.
I want to be? Yeah.
Absolutely. Elon Musk is absolutely my hero. I love the man.
Okay.
If I could marry him, I would. He's amazing. Like,
Your girlfriend knows this?
Yeah, she knows this, and she's okay with it. She said we'll have to come to an arrangement, but she's okay with it. No, actually, she actually bought me like a bunch of Elon Musk's books, right? And I find it so fascinating because he essentially, he took what people said could not be done. He completely rethought and remade, an entire industry, right?
Yeah.
Look at SpaceX and what they're doing.
Yeah.
It used to just be NASA and the governments of the world that were creating rockets, right?
Yeah.
And who's gonna be the startup that says, I'm gonna create the next rocket, right?
Yeah.
And the rocket system. He had so much going against him, right? But he has his ultimate vision, right? And his ultimate vision is to go to Mars.
Yep.
Right? And I think that's so powerful, and that's why he inspires me, right? Because my ultimate vision is to be able to simulate and teach everything to everyone, right? And one of the things we're working on now is a project called Startup Wars, which is entrepreneurship simulation game, right? Which is very exciting. It's a mobile app, it's a mobile game.
Okay.
And that's the first step for us, right? Because in that, I'm basically simulating what it's like to create a business. Me and you have created businesses. All three of us have created businesses, right?
Right.
And what did you go through? What did you go through? What was your story, your experience, right?
Right.
And it's so hard to just say it all right now. Like, there's no way you can tell me everything that you've went through.
Absolutely.
And there's no way you're going to be able to teach your son, your daughter, right? The college kid down the street. There's no way you're going to be able to teach them in just a day everything you've gone through, because it's experience, right? So that's why we're making this into a mobile game, because we want people to actually, through games, right? Because we all love playing games. You can really get in the moment. You can get in the story. You can get in it. I want to be able to tell your story. I want to be able to tell your story. I want to be able to tell Elon Musk's story. And I want, that kid, sitting at home, I want them to be able to actually play this game and experience the story. Hire the same people. Fire the same people. Make business decisions, right? Maybe they're going to change it up. Maybe they're going to make a different decision than you made, and they're going to get a different outcome. Maybe they're going to make the same decision, right?
Exactly.
Imagine being able to play Uber, being able to play Lyft, be able to play, name your startup, right? Tesla. Yeah, exactly, right? It's really cool. So that's our first step.
That's
so
great.
cool.
That is very cool. Very cool. How about in terms of, you think back to, when you started the business and you've got these clients and somebody's come to you at some point and they have not a problem, but they offer up an issue for you, right? You want to create a mobile app and you do it.
Yeah.
Think about a case study. Think about a really proud moment, Jedi, where, OpenForge, got together, whether it's the 24 people or the 44 people or the first 10 people, where you really created something and you were blown away by the experience.
Yeah, so I would say maybe about 4 years ago, we created this application called Fit Girls, right? And it's basically about women who are who want to be fit, or who want to be proud of their bodies, right?
Sure.
And also and also have fun while doing it, right? And this company had come to us, and I can't provide too much detail, but essentially they came to us. They were using a different set of technology, and they wanted to move over to the Ionic platform, which is what we use to build apps. And they said, okay, we don't have a ton of users on mobile right now. It's not really our forte, but we want to grow with it. And so we completely redesigned their business experience, right? And what they do. And they sold like PDFs and other types of medium through outside of mobile. So we completely redefined their business experience. We built them a mobile presence, right? And we launched them, and we helped them launch to the App Store. We gave them advice on how to launch and how to create their App Store strategy. And we got to #1 in the App Store.
Wow.
We beat Google Maps, Netflix, like XYZ for I think 3 or 4 weeks straight, right? As a #1 free app in their category.
Wow.
And they got a crazy amount of users, right? just from that organic growth. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, mobile apps, this is it. This is what we're good at. This is what we're passionate about. This is it. And it's also an amazing way to make money as a business as well, right? Because again, what I went back to earlier in our show, everyone has a mobile device. Everyone's using it all times in the day. So there's no better way to have nonstop connection with your users.
Yeah.
I want to ask a follow-up question to something we were talking about earlier. When you get everyone sort of, let's just use the metaphor, rowing in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
What happens if ever? What happens if someone is not really interested in working in an organization like OpenForge? What do you do? Everyone's rowing in the same direction. We're heading in a good northern direction here. What happens when they don't?
Well, I just have a conversation with them, and I ask them, okay, what is the direction you want to go in? And then I see if that's something that we can make money from as a business, we can support as a business. If it's not, then they got to go a different path. If it is, I'm willing to have that conversation. Right? There's absolutely been times where people have said, well, I don't know if this is something that I want to do or that I'm passionate about, or maybe I want to change my internal skill set. We've had a couple of people change their actual careers within our organization, right? And I've said, well, look, I mean, you've worked with me thus far, right? You've been amazing at what you've been doing. I will absolutely give you a chance in this new role. Here's the goals and the metrics that you got to make, right? But we'll give it a shot, right? If there is a way that we can sustain as a business with.
Very cool. That is very cool.
That really is.
Pretty inspiring, man.
It's fantastic stuff. Listen, Jed, I got one last question I flat out got to ask you because it's about your app.
Okay, sure. Star Wars?
Yeah, because here's why I want to ask the question, right? Because I am a quote-unquote business school graduate. Right? I went to business school, got my MBA, the whole bit, right? And there's what they teach you in school. And then there's what really happens.
What really happens, I know.
Really, so I'd be really interested for you to explain to our audience kind of like how your app is going to helps approximate the reality of the entrepreneurial experience in a way that B school just doesn't.
Sure, absolutely. And to be clear, right, we're not trying to replace school because there's nothing like actually being able to talk to a professor, walking through the material, right? And we're not trying to do that. And actually the opposite, we're actually running in parallel with them. We're supporting universities, and we're already in 2 different universities, and we only are in an alpha version of the application, right? We just started it in February of this year, and that's been going amazing. We have 500 students. So what we're doing is we are focusing on the people, actually, right? The experiences that you make with your employees, with managing your team, right? With the emotions, the hiring and firing. We're even considering putting some AI behind the individual employees that you hire in the game, so that way they're more of a real person.
More robust.
Right? They have feelings, they have that kind of thing. So, that's the experience, right? Because when I started this business, right, when I started my first business, the hardest part and the biggest shock to me was dealing with the emotional side of it, right? I don't know the politically correct term anymore, so soft skills. I don't know if that's still what
it's still fine. Yeah.
Oh, it's still fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, you never know in this day and age, right? But the soft skills aspect. Oh my God, it's even more important than the hard skills.
Absolutely,
it really is. And I thought, I'm just gonna come in and I was like, okay, well if you do this and then you do this and then you do this and then everything's gonna work, right? No, it doesn't work that way. So I want people to learn that aspect, and then I want them to be able to apply this stuff that they're learning in school, right? That they're learning in the MBA program. You learn it, you read it in a textbook, you talk to a professor, but then you can't apply it until 2 years or 4 years out when you start your first business.
Right.
And you're gonna forget half of it.
Exactly.
So I want them, while they are in class, to take that same thing that they're learning in class and then go to their game and be like, okay, let me try to apply it here and see what it means. Right, what it truly means.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super powerful stuff, man. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Hey, man, it's been a great 30 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, wow, 30 minutes already.
Yeah, so went quickly.
Tell everybody how to get in touch with OpenForge and you.
Sure,
please.
Yeah, sure. So feel free to hit me up. My email is jedi@openforge.io. Jedi Hacks is my Twitter and Instagram and basically every handle out there. Jedi, I hope you know how to spell Star Wars Jedi, and Hacks, Hacks. And feel free to hit me up if you have any questions about mobile, if you have any questions about technology or team management, anything at all. I mean, I'm here for everyone.
Awesome.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, man.
Fantastic.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
Yeah. Great to have you, brother.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, man.
You're welcome. All right, that's a wrap for Team Talk, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time. Have a good week.
Take care, everyone.